So finding balance for me was figuring out who am I serving and who do I need around me to help me support in these tasks that need to get done. So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. This is your host, Camille Walker, and we are back into the swing of things. I don't know if you have gone through the end of summer, Labor Day is over, and now you're feeling like you're more into your routine. I know I am. I really look forward to these times and seasons in motherhood where we feel like you can close a chapter and then look ahead with what is upcoming. What are you excited about? What is it that you're hoping to achieve in this next season? And depending on what age you are, how long you've been in your business, what part of motherhood you're in, that can look very, very different. And so today we are talking about how the myth of balance may actually be holding you back from what balance can actually feel like. Now, let's back up a little bit because I've heard a lot of women be asked this question. It's a question I ask many of my guests. I mean, that's what we're all looking for, is that sense of balance, that sense of peace, that sense of wholeness. But this can be misconstrued sometimes of what balance actually is. Does it mean that you divide your time perfectly? Does it mean we're on this balance scale, a family time and work time being exactly the same? Is it something that is perfect every day? And even as I'm asking these questions, I think you know what I'm going to say next. That of course, there is not this perfect alignment of a perfect equation of hours equaling hours of a balance of this is that. And that is what will give you the inner harmony. This is actually what can be holding you back, is thinking that it does have to fit a certain paradigm of someone else's, or that it has to be equally weighted. Your perfect balance is more about finding your intention of your why, aligning your intentions and your goals and your values into who you are serving that given day. And I want you to think about that oftentimes, instead of the what being exactly what we think a perfect balance might look like, I want you to instead imagine the who. Who are you trying to serve? And does it align with your why? There is a book by Simon Sinek saying it's called Discover Your Why. It's what's led a lot of my coaching business, as well as leading my own life, and how I define my values is really discovering my why. And on my website right now, camillewalker.co, and on MyMommyStyle.com, I have a program called Discover Your Why. It's free. It's a 5-day program, but it's something that I've always really felt confident about when helping mothers define what a balance can look like, is making sure that your time is aligned with the why. So even deeper than that, I want you to think about the who. As we go through different seasons of our lives, especially as mothers, the who's in our lives sounds like I'm talking about a Dr. Seuss book, but I'm not. The who's in our lives and what stage of life they're in, especially when we're referring to our children, can come with a different set of demands and a different set of what balance in our lives might look like. When I first started my business, I was a new mom. I had, let's see, I became a mother in 2008. I started my podcast in 2011 with two very young children. My daughter was not quite one, and my son was about 3.5. So I had two very young children that were very physically demanding in terms of what they needed from me, as well as my schedule was kind of all over the place with waking up, what time they took naps, where we were, what times that was happening. Where now, fast forward to 2025, my youngest child is 9. My oldest child is 17. I have 4 children. And so my demand on my time is a little bit different now that I have kids in school full time. It doesn't mean that my role as a mother is less demanding, because we all know as they get older, bigger kids, bigger problems. It's not that the demand goes away, it's the who has changed in terms of the ages that my children are needing me, and how that looks in terms of time and how I divvy up my energy and my time and what I'm able to give when. So, instead of chasing that elusive balance that can often lead to guilt and frustration and a sense of losing our minds, I was at a time many years ago where, when I first started my blog, I started My Mommy Style with 7 women. I had heard that blogging was this new up and coming business where you could make money, you could work with brands, you could write content and make money, which was just shocking to me. This was mind blowing. And where I had gone to school to be a teacher in a traditional sense in a classroom, I was now able to do this job from home as a stay-at-home mom. And I thought, gosh, this is amazing. What a cool concept that I could take all of those concepts of family and consumer science, which was my degree, the cooking, maintaining the home, the nutrition, the child development, the family finance, all of that, and bring that to my website and teach online. It was the perfect opportunity to take something that traditionally could only be done in a 9 to 5, so to speak, that I could now do from home. What I didn't realize, though, is that it did become really successful and more demanding in a way that I even knew or could imagine at the time. Because what went from a team of 7, I knew from the beginning, oh, I want to surround myself with a team. How cool that we can do this together. And there were each of us having different roles with editing, photography, recipe development, sponsorships, connecting with brands, all these different pieces of what it meant to create content on an ongoing basis, to then having it whittled down to being only me, which was a huge shift in the hats I was having to wear and the demand on me as a young mother. It was through that time that I then developed and understood that I could hire on team members. I could also streamline and structure my day in a way that I could delegate and automate and create systems in my business so that I was able to keep showing up. Because I can promise you that had I kept going the way that I was going, trying to fulfill all of those roles of the women who left, and this was over years of time, where within 6 months we had 3 that left. Within 2 years, we had a 4th partner that left. 2 years later, it was the 3rd partner that left. And maybe 2 years later, it went down to just me. And what I needed to figure out was that I needed to have team members around me that helped me to fulfill the content creation, the back end work, the SEO, the email marketing, now the social media marketing that wasn't even a part of it when we started. And I was able to position myself more as a CEO in terms of creating operations within my business that didn't include me doing every single piece of that business to keep it running. Are you ready to reclaim your time and finally focus on the tasks that actually grow your business? Whether you're looking to hire a VA or thinking about becoming one, I've got the perfect solution for you. If you're overwhelmed with your business, I personally connect entrepreneurs with highly trained virtual assistants, graduates of my 60 Days to VA program, so you can confidently outsource and scale. Or if you're looking for a flexible, profitable business from home, my 60 Days to VA course gives you everything you need to have to become a successful assistant without the trial and error. Head to CamilleWalker.co to get started today. Whether you're hiring or launching your own business, I'm here to help you make it happen. You can also grab this link below and schedule a free discovery call with me to see if it's the right fit for you. So finding balance for me was figuring out, who am I serving and who do I need around me to help me support in these tasks that need to get done. And discovering that who and understanding the delegation of those different pieces of my business is what made it so I've been able to sustain and still have my money generating blog as a business, and then in turn go to more content creation, business coaching, creating my course for women to build their own virtual assistant business. It made it so that I became still the creative like idea generator of my business without having to do all the operation of my business, if that makes sense. So with this, I was able to restructure my alignment and my intention with my day. And truly, that's what it breaks down to is what is your intention and your alignment of the day with your why and identifying the who. And the who does not always have to be you. And that was so huge for me, being able to bring in team members for my business, but also identifying things that my children could help me with at home and my partner, my husband could help me with in terms of carpools or prepping dinners or whatever it is that that might look like. But creating that delegation and releasing the guilt is what allowed me to continue and to expand and to grow. And that is the key to success, is finding out what that pace is for you in this season of your life that you're in right now, because it's different for all of us, is not figuring out how to juggle everything equally, but figuring out how to juggle all the things strategically. And there is a difference in the approach to that, knowing that not one of us can do all of the things. So I want you to ask yourself a question right now, and that is, who do I want to be present for today instead of how do I balance everything? And of course, when we ask that question, who do I want to be present for? It's our family always. It's our spouse always. It's ourself sometimes last. And that's been a big piece. And especially in doing this podcast, where I've learned from so many women where they will tell me that for so long in their business, when they put themselves last, they were in a place of burnout. They were in a place of losing everything that they had built because they simply could not sustain the amount of output that they were giving without feeding themselves first. And these are things that you've heard before, but maybe you don't have the exact map or bandwidth of knowing how to create those sequential steps of showing up for yourself, for your family, and for your business. And that is exactly why I have created a new program called the CEO Mindset. This whole last year, I did a program called the CEO Mastermind, which I absolutely loved. It was throughout the entire school year. And my one complaint personally about it was I felt like it was maybe a little bit too long. I like to go into sprints of focusing on something, whether it's a goal or creating out those systems in different parts of our businesses at 7 weeks at a time. And so what I did is I thought, gosh, I really would love to squash the hustle culture, especially for women and mothers, that they have this sense of shame or guilt for not being in that balance, that perfect balance that they're looking for, because it's really more about positioning yourself as a CEO to have that CEO mindset and to create those systems for goals that you can reach long term by showing up with the daily who's and the whys. And so I am opening my CEO Mindset program, and it still has early bird pricing. So if you're hearing this, I want you to take advantage of this right now, because this is happening. I'm so excited. So the wait list is open right now. I want you to be the first to be there as the doors open. And this is a really good introduction to the things that you'd be learning in the CEO mindset. It's going to be a group of like-minded women, entrepreneurial women who are looking to implement where they are in the season of life that they're in, but creating a CEO mindset of how you're approaching your business. If you have burnout, if you have that nudge of, I need to create a team and systems around me, but I'm not quite sure how, we will go through it and help you to identify what that looks like for you. What is that next hire that you need to make? What is that next step of taking care of yourself so that you can keep showing up for yourself and your family? Because I recently had a friend reach out to me who was watching my Instagram stories. And I will admit, after years of doing social media, literally over a decade, I'm not the best at sharing on my feed. I took a big step back in the summer and truly because I wanted to. And as I was sharing my stories with what my business looked like in the background, plus what my life looked like, she said to me, "Gosh, like you have such a fun life." And I truly, truly, with all the gratitude in my heart, was thankful for her to even say that because I really do. But I want more than anything for other women to feel the same way. Like, gosh, what a fun life. What a fun life that I'm able to wake up, have this amazing business where I get to have this fulfillment and this creativity within me to grow, and that I also get to be an active participant in a life that I love. And I hope you see that in me. I love that she saw that in me because if I'm not walking the walk and living a life that I truly love, how do I expect to do the same for someone else? And that is why I feel called to do this. And that is why I hope you will join me. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, send me a DM, ask me the questions. We're starting at the end of September. We're going to go for 7 weeks so that we finish up mid-November, a little bit. I think it's the third week of November. So there's still plenty of time for the holidays to start up. And then I'll be starting the next cohort group that you can join again for another 7 weeks in probably late January into February time. So if this is called to you, if you want to create those systems, if you need help with creating a CEO mindset to get to that next level so that you are not the operator, you are the business owner and the idea generator that is excited and living your why and serving the who, please join me. You can find more information in the link below and also on Instagram, CamilleWalker.co and Call Me CEO podcast. There's the two. My website is also CamilleWalker.co. So would love to have you join me. Thank you for being a supporter of this podcast. And remember, it's about discovering the why and serving the who. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Hey, CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.